Microsoft destroyed competitors for decades. Netscape, WordPerfect, entire industries disappeared after Microsoft entered them. But there was one company Microsoft could never kill. No matter how many products it launched, no matter how much money it spent, no matter how many times it tried, because Oracle controlled something Microsoft never truly owned: the data. And once a company owns the data, it becomes very hard to replace. This is the story of Oracle, and how the company Microsoft couldn't kill became one of the most powerful forces in enterprise technology. This is the series where we break down the deals, decisions, and power shifts that built and destroyed billion-dollar empires. In the late 1970s, most computer companies were obsessed with hardware: bigger machines, faster processors, more storage. The assumption seemed obvious. The computer itself was the product. Control the machine, control the future. But one engineer looked at the industry and saw something different. His name was Larry Ellison, and he believed the real value wasn't in the machine. It was in the information stored inside it. At the time, that sounded almost backwards. Computers were expensive. Software felt secondary. Data was something businesses stored because they had to, not because it was strategic. But Ellison saw something most of the industry missed. Computers would eventually become commodities. Information wouldn't. That insight became Oracle. The company wasn't trying to build the best computer. It was trying to become the place where information lived, and that turned out to be a much more powerful position. Throughout the 1980s, Oracle grew rapidly. Banks adopted its database software. Governments adopted it. Manufacturers adopted it. Large enterprises adopted it. The software sat underneath everything, invisible to customers, critical to everyone else. And that invisibility created a unique kind of leverage. Most people never saw Oracle, but millions depended on it every day. Every transaction, every record, every customer database, every inventory system. More and more information flowed into Oracle systems. And once information enters a system, it tends to stay there. This wasn't software. It was infrastructure. That distinction mattered, because infrastructure behaves differently. People switch applications, they switch websites, they switch devices, but switching critical infrastructure is painful, expensive, risky, sometimes terrifying. And Oracle understood that better than almost anyone. By the early 1990s, another company was becoming impossible to ignore: Microsoft. Windows dominated the desktop. Office dominated productivity. Developers increasingly built around Microsoft's ecosystem. And Microsoft wanted more, much more. The company didn't just want the desktop, it wanted the entire stack: operating systems, servers, enterprise software, databases, everything. And sitting directly in the middle of that ambition was Oracle. The conflict felt inevitable. Microsoft had conquered market after market. Its strategy was brutally effective: enter a category, integrate aggressively, leverage distribution, expand relentlessly. Competitors usually lost. Some disappeared completely. Others became irrelevant. Many never recovered. So when Microsoft launched SQL Server and pushed deeper into enterprise databases, plenty of people assumed Oracle would eventually suffer the same fate. After all, Microsoft was Microsoft. But Oracle wasn't Netscape. Oracle wasn't WordPerfect. Oracle wasn't selling a product people could casually replace. It was selling the foundation underneath entire organizations. And foundations don't move easily. Inside large enterprises, Oracle became deeply embedded. A bank might run thousands of applications connected to Oracle databases. An airline might depend on Oracle for reservations, scheduling, maintenance records, and customer systems. Governments stored critical information inside Oracle environments. Replacing Oracle wasn't like uninstalling software. It was closer to performing open-heart surgery on a business. Every migration carried risk. Every mistake carried consequences. And the larger the customer became, the stronger Oracle's position grew. Microsoft could build competing technology, but technology wasn't the entire battle. This wasn't a database war. It was a dependency war. And Oracle had built one of the strongest dependency networks in the technology industry. The rivalry intensified. Larry Ellison and Bill Gates represented two completely different visions of computing. Microsoft believed control flowed from the operating system. Oracle believed control flowed from the data. Both couldn't be right forever. Someone would eventually dominate. At least that was the assumption. But something unexpected happened. The market grew large enough for both. Microsoft became enormously powerful. Oracle remained enormously powerful. And the reason reveals something important about technology. Different layers create different kinds of control. Microsoft owned the desktop. Oracle owned the records businesses depended on. One controlled how people worked. The other controlled what businesses knew. And information turned out to be surprisingly durable. By the late 1990s, Oracle was thriving. The company expanded globally. Revenue climbed. Its influence spread across nearly every major industry. Then the internet arrived, then e-commerce, then digital transformation, and every new trend created more data, more customer records, more transactions, more databases. The world Oracle had bet on decades earlier was finally arriving. Information was becoming the center of everything. For a moment, it looked like Oracle's position might become even stronger. Then another shift began, and like every great missed billion story, the game changed again. Cloud computing. At first, it seemed like another infrastructure trend. Just new servers, new locations, new hosting models. But underneath, something larger was happening. The relationship between software, infrastructure, and data was being rewritten. Suddenly, companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google weren't just selling products. They were selling environments, entire computing ecosystems. And once again, Oracle found itself facing a new challenge. Not Microsoft alone, but a whole new architecture of computing. Amazon Web Services expanded rapidly. Microsoft launched Azure. Google scaled cloud services globally. Control was moving upward again, from databases to platforms. Oracle had survived the desktop era. Now it had to survive the cloud era. And unlike many companies from earlier generations, Oracle adapted. Not perfectly, not easily, but effectively enough to remain relevant. That's what makes Oracle different from so many forgotten technology companies. It survived multiple industry transitions. Mainframes, mini-computers, client-server computing, the internet, cloud infrastructure. Most technology companies don't survive one major shift. Oracle survived several because the company understood something fundamental. Technology changes. The value of information doesn't. The hardware changes. The interfaces change. The operating systems change. The platforms change. But businesses still need their data. And wherever the data goes, Oracle found a way to follow. That's why Microsoft never killed Oracle. Not because Microsoft wasn't powerful enough, but because Oracle controlled a different layer. A layer that remained important no matter how the industry evolved. And that's the lesson hidden inside this story. Most technology battles aren't won by building the best product. They're won by controlling the layer nobody can afford to lose. Microsoft owned the desktop. Oracle owned the information. And when entire industries are built around information, that becomes a very difficult position to attack. If you look closely, you'll see the same pattern throughout technology history. The companies that survive aren't always the most visible. Sometimes they're the companies sitting underneath everything else, quietly accumulating leverage while everyone focuses on the surface. Because in technology, the most powerful company isn't always the one people see. It's often the one they can't escape. And Oracle became exactly that. Not the company Microsoft defeated. The company Microsoft could never replace. Because Microsoft owned the desktop, Oracle owned the data, and in the end, data proved harder to replace than software.